Thank you for joining Preston Olson. This is River Street Marketing, presenting to you some of the world's largest current events. Thank you for joining us. We hope you come back, and we appreciate your time. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. It's Preston Olson for River Street Marketing.com, Facebook.com/River Street Marketing. We are a little tardy to the party for River Street Marketing on this topic, but that's just because we're not outspoken about it. We don't really delve into politics on our podcast, and on our Facebook page, it's really non-political. But I will say that we are very opinionated and we do cover politics. So here I am with some headlines for you. Let's go ahead and get into them. The first headline we're going to start out with is President Donald J. Trump orders drop of biggest bomb America has to offer besides a nuke on Syrian soil. Now, folks, this is really important. I think everyone should be paying attention to what's going on in the country right now. So I'm going to continue. The MOAB, mother of all bombs, is a large yield, conventional, non-nuclear, GPS-guided munition weapon first designed in 2002 by Air Force Research Laboratory for the U.S. military. It was reportedly first publicly tested in the days leading up to the 2003 invasion of Iraq in order to win a psychological war to deter Saddam Hussein. It weighs in at roughly 10,000 kilograms, is 10 meters long and 1 meter wide, and packs 8,000 kilograms of explosives. In comparison, the average weight of most deployed conventional bombs is roughly 250 kilograms. Therefore, the MOAB is not only staggeringly powerful for a conventional bomb, but so physically heavy it cannot be deployed using conventional bombers. To be delivered, it must be carried in a cargo plane like the MC-130 used on Friday. Now, folks, this last part's really important here. And sucked out of the back of the cabin, hold on a pallet via a massive parachute before being guided by satellite with remarkable accuracy to its target. The critics are now questioning Trump, and they absolutely have a right to. So let's get into these headlines. Why now? The critics question President Donald J. Trump's actions. What does this mean for future war? It is still far too early to tell, but experts say the bombing may open up a can of worms, considering Russia has the FOAB, father of all bombs. The head of the Strategic and Defense Studies Centre at the Australian National University, Professor John Blaxland, told the ABC increasing the threshold of violence in the region will no doubt have unintended knock-on consequences. But he added the bombing would have a shocking effect on terror groups operating in Afghanistan. On a side note, U.S. President Donald Trump wants a $70 billion increase in military spending, and he wants to pay for it with massive cuts elsewhere. This is also all coming from the critics. This is telegraphing to the opponents of the government in Kabul that the United States is now upping the ante and is prepared to kill many people to achieve its political end state, he said. Now that comes from Professor Blackland, and it's a real thing. Very real, very real. That end state, said Professor Blackland, is for the Taliban to cave and for the U.S. to be able to reduce its presence in Afghanistan. If that's the outcome, that would be the silver lining to a very dark cloud we've just been blowing up above the skies of Nangarhar, he said. The problem is, of course, we know that this is perhaps one head of a hydra, and while it's probably looking close to being decapitated, we really haven't dealt with the core issues here. North Korea sees America's force in Syria as a threat. Trump began the month by declaring on April 2nd that the U.S. would be willing to go it alone to restrain North Korea's nuclear weapons program should China fail to change the current situation. 2 days later, as Trump prepared to meet his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, North Korea fired another ballistic missile off the coast of the Korean peninsula. U.S. and Southern Korean officials said as the two leaders sat down to speak and Pan seared Seoul at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, Trump made the decision to pull the trigger on a missile strike in Syria. The biggest military action of his presidency and a declaration of intent for Pyongyang. Shortly after, North Korea issued a forceful response to the deployment of a U.S. naval strike group, including the 97,000-ton carrier, the USS Carl Vinson, to the region April 10, saying it would counter reckless acts of aggression with whatever methods the U.S. wants to take. The MOAB has a long history and is a major tribute to America's military power. Days later, monitoring Group 38 North said its analysis had concluded that North Korea's Punggye-ri nuclear site is primed and ready for a sixth nuclear test. Also, on April 13th, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that the country may have already had the capability to deliver missiles equipped with sarin nerve agent. Meanwhile, the U.S. waded again into military action, dropping a GBU-43B massive ordnance air blast bomb, otherwise known as the MOAB, the mother of all bombs. The U.S. military's largest non-nuclear weapon on an ISIS hideout in Afghanistan. The first time this type of weapon has been used in battle, according to U.S. officials. 2 days later, at an annual military parade in Pyongyang, the North Korean regime showed off a bevy of new missiles and launchers at its annual military parade. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un not backing down just yet. After the attempted test, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence visiting the South Korean side of the Demilitarized Zone (DMZ) April 17th warned North Korea not to test the resolve of the U.S. or the strength of our military forces. North Korea's UN Deputy Representative Kim In-ryong responded, warning that the U.S. actions and rhetoric have created a dangerous situation in which thermonuclear war may break out at any moment on the peninsula and poses a serious threat to worldwide peace and security. China has their work cut out for them after boasting that the USS Carl Vinson strike group was being dispatched to the Korean Peninsula in a show of force. The U.S. was forced to walk back the relationship between USA and North Korea in question, hopefully actually end soon. The Russians roll in all this. In military on April 19th in the Indian Ocean, there's still not some 3,000 much 500 about Russia's latest missile opposite direction. With a proposed statement that would have condemned in the present day. Russia used its veto or would China torpedo them by the end of April. Surprise. Multiple U.S. But what we do the same day told CNN, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman, the Pentagon announced on April 18th was gravely concerned two major tests of its ability to shoot down missile parties. Also praised recent launched out U.S. statements North Korea are definitely split. So it looks like China, U.S., Russia will be having our back in this situation here. There is conflicting news. Is exactly where after both should take place. That the USS needed delegates Carl Vinson strike group was being dispatched to the Korean Peninsula. According to Korean news agencies, the U.S. was forced to walk back. Chinese a very cold relationship between the USA and North Korea were actually hopefully on their way to participate in military exercises on April 19th of military security such as preemptive attacks on North Korea's latest missile launch. Like with the one instead the strike group that would have condemned to Syria. Russia used its veto to basically torpedo the motion. Multiple U.S. defense officials that told the same day a little bit more. Chinese Foreign Ministry Pentagon announced on April 18th said Beijing was gravely concerned about North protection to shoot down missile activities launched out and they're looking to U.S. statements really embody protectionism issue as well as communism. So it looks like China that all comes out to be true. We'll be having our back in this situation here. And diplomacy after Russia boasting many that the USS Carl Vinson delegate group was being dispatched to the Korean Peninsula to work on in a show of force. The U.S. was forced to walk back the claims after a very cold relationship on a geopolitical were and North Korea on their way
Hopefully,
to participate.
Russia
in
has an
military
easy choice
exercises
on siding with
in
us.
the Indian Ocean.
On April 19th,
Some 3,000
the UN Security
500
Council
miles
tried to
put
put
in the opposite
the pressure on the
direction.
economy
Latest missile launch.
Instead, the strike
North
group
Korea
proposed statement
will arrive off
that
the
would have condemned the
Korean
test, and they
Peninsula
could also
by the
Russia
end of
used
April.
its veto to torpedo the
Multiple
motion.
U.S. defense officials
The
told
war
CNN.
propaganda
The
coming
same
out of
day,
North Korea.
the Pentagon
Chinese
announced on
Foreign
April
Ministry
18th
spokesman
that it will
Kang,
conduct
but
2
much
major
will be known in the
gravely
future.
concerned
To
about
many
North Korea's
details will
recent
lie
nuclear
ahead.
launched
Launched
out
activity.
of
And here at riverstreetmarketing.com
and
and Facebook.com/riverstreetmarketing,
issue.
we will do our absolute best to keep
So it
you
looks
informed.
like China
All our social media platforms
will be
are
having
updated
our
daily.
back
Check
in
us
this
out
situation here.
and stay tuned
After
on
boasting
Tuesdays and Fridays.
that the
exactly
U.S.
where
for the
it should
podcast
take
Carl
place.
Vinson strike
We
group
need
was
to
being
delegate
dispatched
this
to
everybody
the
else
Korean
delegate. Have a
Peninsula
good night. Thank you
in
for
a show
listening.
of force.
I
The
appreciate
U.S.
your time
was
very
forced
much.
to walk back the claims after it emerged that